I gotta get something off my chest. Celsius is the stupidest temperature system I've ever heard of. At first, glance, it makes sense that water freezes at 0 degrees, right? And that water boils at 100. You sure about that? Because if you're doing both of those, then you're doing a thing where you're just one end of the spectrum and another, you're placing them there, and now you have to deal with decimals. And besides that, when you start with a point like 32 for freezing water, and then you count up one by one until the water boils, then you have a bigger range. So you don't have to deal with decimals. Because in Fahrenheit, you can get away with rounding a number because there are more numbers, and it makes everyone's lives a little simpler. Also, what asshole perfectionist picked out the temperatures for Celsius? I mean, it's probably Celsius, but just assuming that water freezes at 10 and water boils at 100, you're leaving no room for anything. The way that Fahrenheit was calculated is that Mr. Fahrenheit selected body temperature to be at 90, and it was adjusted to 96 later. And then what we did is we counted how long it takes for things to freeze and boil. So we have more accurate numbers. And guess what? It's like 190 degree difference Fahrenheit between freezing and boiling. For something so cold and so hot, there should be a massive difference, not 90, 190. Also, does it not just make sense for higher numbers to be very hot and lower numbers to be very cold? Like 0 here is like, ooh, you gotta dress up to the shits and that. I don't know what that means, but... And at 100, you stay inside. That's like the coldest and hottest it gets. And when it goes above or below that, it's a big deal. But in Celsius land, the hottest it ever gets is like 62. And you know what happens when you're not going on a scale of 0 to 100? You get decimals. For us, middle of the road is 62. But for you, middle of the road is like 30.8. I just looked it up, and 20 degrees is like 70 degrees. So scrap that. You only get like 28 degrees. What the fuck? With your freezing and boiling numbers so close together, it leaves little to no room for accurate measurements. Because tell me, who in their right mind would ever do hundredths of temperatures? Oh yeah, it's 30.42 out. And that's like 1,000 degrees here. Be fucking sensible. With our higher boiling to freezing range, we have more wiggle room. We don't have to say that body temperature is 90.428 degrees if we don't want to. Because that's too specific and it's too many numbers. We live in America, goddammit. We live in a country where 96 degrees and 96.2 degrees doesn't really make a difference. But in Celsius land, if you're 37, then you're perfectly healthy. But if you're like a couple decimals higher, then you're sick enough to die. But to you, 96.2 degrees... you're dead. But if you come up to me and then touch a frying pan and go, hot, my head is burned, it was 60 degrees. That's 90 here. Or like 120? That's what we sear steaks at, is 120. Maybe even higher. I don't know what a sear steak. But 60 degrees is a bike ride. In summary, Fahrenheit leads the pack at number 1. And then a close third is Celsius. And then way far behind is Kelvin. What are you doing, man?